Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall Fan Show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the 2021-22 series of No One Likes Us Talking, our Millwall Fan Show, in the second show in our new Freedom post-lockdown. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige and George Lampey.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Hello everyone, how is everyone?
Fine, Gary.
I'm fine. Yeah.
So, hi everyone. Jeff, I have a sneaky feeling you were over at the SE16 bar on Tuesday night, and there was a fans forum that took place. Have you got any thoughts on what took place that day?
Yeah, it was interesting when I got there to find out it was being held outdoors in that bar area at the back of the Coldblow Lane stand. They did provide a bar as well. It was an hour of Gary Rowett first. He was very impressive, like he was last year, and the calibre of questions that he got asked was good. People were very sensible and respectful. One of the first things he was asked about was whether he missed Callum Davidson, who obviously everyone knows, or most people will know, had an absolutely fantastic season as manager of St Johnstone in Scotland after leaving us last summer. But he was at pains to say how well Adam Barrett had done. And he also mentioned the recent recruiting of yet another Paul Robinson, his former left back at Birmingham. He's now on the first team coaching staff as well. The next thing he was asked was about Jed Wallace, and he was very keen to say that Jed had never asked to leave. They made him an offer. He had rejected it, but he's been the same Jed as ever. Very enthusiastic and looks very fit, and it's not been mentioned. And Gary, to paraphrase him, said he's just exercising his right not to extend his contract. That's his right. We respect it. So he played that right down. He was asked why he hadn't put more young players into the team at the very end of last season. He pointed out this is what used to happen more in the old days, but he said he blooded 4 players during the season, which he thought was quite good, and he named them. I think we all know who they are. And he said he thought that was enough. He said, after all, I see them every day, and I'm the best person to know if they're ready or not. And that led on to discussion about whether it was good for them to go out on loan and so on. And yesterday we had the news, didn't we, that Tyler Burey had gone on loan to League 2 Hartlepool, which, I mean, that will do him the world of good. It's make or break, isn't it, with these loans to the lower divisions.
Jeff, and he goes and echoes the words of what Gary Alexander was saying last week. He said he probably wouldn't have made it being a striker if he hadn't gone out to Dorchester or something like that. So having this lower league experience would be fantastic for Tyler, I believe.
I think one of the advantages of being in the Championship is that when we do loan our players out, we can loan them to League 2, maybe even League 1, occasionally National League Premier. You know, the National League, there is only a Premier, but it's a good thing. I don't think he'll be the last one to go out on loan. He said he kept it under review. What else did he talk about? He talked about Benik Afobe in very glowing terms, and said he had very high hopes for him indeed. He was exactly what he'd been looking for. He knew him well. He'd once paid quite a bit of money for him. He skated over the fact that Benik, not everyone will know, but he had a really bad family bereavement less than 2 years ago. I think he's taken, anybody would take time to recover from that. Loss of a child it was. And let's hope that he's now back, and mentally he's back in the space where he needs to be. And Gary's obviously got high hopes for him for this coming season. They were the main things. He was asked if he thought he would still add to the add to the squad, and he talked about the injury to Mason Bennett and said that had meant that if he could have one more player, he would like it, and it would be an attacking player. He didn't say a striker or winger, he just said an attacking player. So I think we can possibly expect that to happen. After the interval, we had Steve Kavanagh with a couple of contributions from Billy Taylor, the head of media. I don't know what you would like me to say about that, but Steve Kavanagh was at pains to say that it's been a really difficult year for everybody at the club and every other club, and he felt sure there would be some teething problems at the start of this season. He asked everyone to be patient with the club, and of course the following day we found out that the distribution of tickets for QPR had not gone as smoothly as it might have done. So we'll see how that pans out. I haven't had mine yet, so I'm relying on the post. So we'll see. He talked about the fact that very few clubs in the Championship have paid any transfer fees. Everybody's skint after the last 18 months, except for those coming down from the Premier League, who can all look forward later in August to a whopping multi-million-pound contribution as their parachute payment. Not many deals have been done, and I think transfer values will be very low. So watch this space. He said that the club had to take a loan from the EFL. I think that's the one that the government backed. Multi-millions, and it has to be paid back over 3 years. And that his complaint was that the Premier League had said they would support Leagues 1 and 2, but they wouldn't give any help to the Championship as they felt that we were rich enough and have millionaire owners. So he did make that point.
Would that interfere with financial fair play or not?
Don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know whether financial fair play is being very ruthlessly imposed at the moment. I think possibly the fact that we've had this pandemic means that it might not be, but I'm not an expert on that anymore. He just to finish, he did say that John Berylson was coming over for the Portsmouth game, and he said that they'd gone out of their way to get the Home Office to give him a special exemption to spare him the need to go into quarantine, and that had been a long job. And the very following day after they were given that special exemption, the government announced that they changed the rules and all Americans can come in without quarantining now. So life can be frustrating. We didn't get on very much to the cashless club issue. And I think that's what he was talking about when he said there will be teething problems, but we may have to come back to that another week.
Brilliant.
How many there, Jeff, on the night? How many people turned up?
Over 100. Over 100. It still represents the older element of our support. I think there is some concern that we're not getting many young people. And I don't mean kids, because they wouldn't come out to a fans forum up to 9 o'clock at night. But under 40s even, I think there weren't many. So,
No.
but yeah, over 100. Very respectful. It was a good meeting. Both the manager and the chief executive were impressive. But as is usual with those fans forums, there's not a chance really to ask a supplementary and a third question to try to tie them down. And they're both very skilled at knowing how to field questions. But it was enjoyable. I was glad I went, and I think everybody felt the same.
Seemed a very strange thing to be putting you in the SC16 bar. I mean, was it? I can't remember what Tuesday. Oh, I was out Tuesday. It was quite a nice evening, yeah. So was it quite nice at the Den?
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't raining, it wasn't cold. It was okay. So it wasn't a problem. But I didn't inquire as to why that happened. It was okay. And
all right. Well, I do have one more question, Jeff. Did they say anything about the regeneration, or was that still a taboo subject?
One person did want to press the issue of the regeneration, saying that nothing appeared to be happening, and he was worried that we might get shafted again. I thought Steve Kavanagh answered that well. I mean, it's a subject I know something about, and the point he made was that we've told Lewisham that we're not going to put in a planning application until we've got a longer and a developable lease, and they're negotiating a longer lease than we've currently got. And when they've got that, they will be putting in the planning application. That explained that, and Steve did say that those negotiations were ongoing, but they possibly haven't gone as fast as they might have done in normal times. There you are.
How long would our lease be, going on for at the present time? Yeah,
when I was involved, and I seem to remember our lease was 150 years. I don't think I can swear to that. I haven't got the paperwork anywhere near in front of me. So that means there'll be about 120 odd years left, doesn't it? Now, if you're going to do a major redevelopment, you need a longer lease than that to get the appropriate finance to do it. So I think you can take it that they'd be looking for a minimum of 250 years. A normal building lease would be 999 years, but I don't think there's much prospect of getting that. But Lewisham are not allowed to sell the freehold, so we're looking. The club's looking for a longer lease, probably about double what we've currently got as a minimum.
Oh, right.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for that, Jeff. We'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening. For now, let's listen to Bethany Warren talking about Eleanor Hospital and those running in memory of the late Jordan Dawes, a Millwall fan and a legendary goalkeeper of women's football.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall fans Danielle and James will be running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August in memory of Danielle's cousin, Jordan Dawes. Listen to Danielle tell her story.
Hello, so I am running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August. While training for Tough Mudder, which I'm doing in September, I feel I got the bug for running. I wanted to give myself a challenge and while raising money for Eleanor. Jordan's memory lives on forever, and as a family, we honour her memory by giving back to the charities that gave their care and support during the darkest of times. Jordan lost her battle to cancer in 2019. She was a keen footballer, playing for the likes of Charlton Athletic, Gillingham, and ending her football career at Kent Football United. One of the most memorable times for me and the family when watching Jordan play was when she actually saved a penalty in a cup final, leading Kent Football United to win. She was an infectious person to be around. Her smile lit up the room. She was keen in talking to James about Millwall. She would come with us as of when she can. And the last game that she actually went to was the FA Cup game against Everton, where Millwall actually spoilt her, made her feel really special. She was able to meet some of the players, have her pictures taken with the keeper at the time, and was actually given the treatment of being able to go into the exec lounge as well. Just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen and anyone that donates. So thank you.
What a story, and what a lovely couple Danielle and James are in doing this together. So if you can help, you can just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser and the Just Giving page will be shown. I'll say that again. Just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser and the Just Giving page will be shown. Thank you.
I'm Gary Staff and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige and George Lampey. Last weekend, Danielle and James completed the London Landmarks Half Marathon together in 2 hours and 39 minutes. Well done both of you. And if you can, please contribute to this valuable cause for Eleanor Hospice in memory of the late, great Jordan Dawes, Millwall fan and icon of women's football. Just before we welcome our guest, many people were ringing the club for tickets both last week and this. In summary, what was told to us by many fans is that it costs 7p a minute from the landline to call the ticket line, except not everyone has a landline these days. In fact, those that can use one are probably at work and using the company phone. So most of us use our mobiles. Well, one person detailed that he sat on the line, you are moving up the queue for 35 minutes, and his provider, EE, informed him that a call cost him 75p a minute or £26.25. Many were upset and felt it was about time this scandal was stopped once and for all. Essentially, this means that one is paying double the price for a ticket and added the club they love, apparently, but don't do enough to sort out a phone line that won't bankrupt us. We spoke with the club spokesman and they said the matter is under review with the club and they'll provide an update for supporters soon. So we'll keep an eye on this one, shall we, guys?
We definitely will.
Our first guest is a Peckham-born Millwall fan, man and boy, who played as a youth for Millwall as a winger and made his debut in the 1969-70 season, and he appeared 80 times for the Lions over 6 seasons, scoring 6 goals. He was part of a squad who evolved under manager Benny Fenton and nearly reached the top flight in 1971-72 season. As Millwall dropped into the third tier at the end of the 74-75 season, he was released on a free and he moved on to play non-league Maidstone. He further played stints with Gravesend, Croydon, Dagenham, and again at Maidstone and then at Gravesend, before hanging up his boots in favour of the Flowers over at Covent Garden. The lure of becoming a Knight of the Road followed and he became a black cab driver, which he continued to do today and also tonight where he speaks to us from. Let's welcome to the studio that pin-up boy from the 70s, Steve Brown. Welcome, Steve.
Welcome, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
Hi.
Steve, before I let you off to the panel, we all returned to our freedom to watch football this weekend. How did you find watching the Lions during our COVID exile?
To be honest with you, I didn't watch a lot of football when there was no crowds. I couldn't, there was no enthusiasm for me. It was like going back the years when we used to have first team v the reserves. A little bit boring.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't think you're alone there, Steve, because I know a few people that switched off that have suddenly back on my case asking, are you using your season tickets? So I know how you feel there, Steve. I know how you feel.
And I would imagine a lot of pros or ex-pros think that way.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
a lot of fans and all, Steve, not only,
Yeah, I think so, yeah, because it's nice going down, having a couple of beers and then getting involved with the crowd. You know, you miss that. If it's not there, why go?
Good point.
Steve, it's George here. We know you're a Peckham boy. Tell us how you come to join the Lions.
I went to school in Lambeth. Oh, before we go any further, I'm a Bermondsey boy. I moved to Peckham. Yeah, I went to Beaufort and I used to play football for a youth club just off a long lane, Charterhouse Boys. And then when I went to school, I went to Beaufort, and I preferred to play football for the boys' club, Charterhouse. But then the school came in and wanted me to play, and I played it for them, and then I went to play on for South London and for London schoolboys, and Millwall come in for me. Originally, West Ham came in and offered me an apprenticeship,
All right.
but because I lived 5 minutes from the ground, you know, for me to go across to West Ham, it was like them days. It was like going across to India, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, just across the water was a strange place to a young South London boy. So then I started training at Millwall when I was at school, and then played for the youth teams, and I was offered an apprenticeship, which obviously I jumped at.
Who was the guy that sort of signed you up then? You know, who was the guy that scouted you or whatever? Do you remember?
Well, it was a schoolmaster at Beaufort. He ran the school team, and he was in charge of South London, and he heard that West Ham were after me, and then he spoke to Charlie Vaughan and Benny Fenton, and they turned up on my mum and dad's doorstep.
Ah,
Knock on the door. West Ham were on the phone, and the doorbell went. My mum answered, and it was Charlie Vaughan and Benny Fenton standing there. We didn't have a clue who they were, and they introduced themselves. And then she called my dad out, and he said, "You better come in." So my mum made the teas, and that was it. And they sold the club to me. They were excellent, especially Charlie Vaughan. He was such a lovely man. He could charm the birds out of the trees. That's how much of a nice fellow he was. And so I signed schoolboy forms, and then I signed apprentice. The best time of my life.
Lovely. Steve, you was a pin-up boy in the heady days of the 1970s. Well, we had Brian King on last season, and he talked about Jeff Burnige and him, both with their flowing locks, being mistaken for Mick Jagger or Ringo Starr at some event in Essex. What was it like being a footballer beyond playing on the pitch in the 1970s for you?
Fortunately for me, I lived local to the old Den, and most of my friends were local boys, so it was great. It also has its downfalls, because when we, as friends, we used to go to the local pubs, the Apples and Pears, Duke of Wellingtons and things like that, and people, when they see a local footballer walk in, straight away you was labelled by some people as, oh, look at that flash monkey. But apart from that, we had a great time. I loved it.
Really?
I just left school. I signed apprentice and then a young professional, and you was doing something that you wanted to do. You know, there's not a lot of people that can say that. Yeah, and plus you were getting paid for it.
I bet they never used the term monkey, Steve, did they?
Lovely. As a man, you might remember Jeff. Oh.
Jeff's gone missing. He ain't buying a drink, is he?
He never buys a drink.
No, that's what I mean. It's his round, and he's gone missing.
Yeah, nothing new.
Steve, it's
Yes.
Jeff Burnige. I heard you mention about my dad and Mr. Ethel. That was very nice of you. It's great to talk to you again. Nice words about Charlie Vaughan. Yeah, I did know him slightly. I was very young at the time. And Benny. Did you play in the Everton game, the cup game?
I did. No, I played. I
thought you did. What's your memories of that game in particular?
Well, obviously the big crowd, the very noisy crowd, and we went out there because we had some very, very good players. We went out there before we went out. I think it was Dennis and Big Kitch. Come on, we're not got to be frightened of these. And we went out there and we weren't frightened of them. And we took the game to them, and it was fantastic. And we got the result we deserved. I think they got away lightly because it could have been more.
I'm pleased to hear you describe yourself as a Bermondsey boy. So am I. But whereabouts did you grow up when you were living in
Long
Bermondsey?
Lane.
Off Long Lane, were you? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know exactly where you mean. Snow's Fields, you know where that is, don't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the boys' club that I went to was just near Snow's Fields.
Yeah, I know. I think,
Crosby Row.
Crosby Row, that's the one.
That's
our
it,
listeners, our Bermondsey listeners will know all about that. No, it's really good. What about Benny? What was your impressions of Benny Fenton?
Yeah, I liked Benny for a number of reasons. You know, he gave me my debut. I think he liked me. I think I suffered a little bit because we had one youngster in the side, which was Dougie, and I think he was a little bit fearful of playing too. But, you know, as a man, I liked him. I know a few of them thought he was he favoured people, but I didn't find that. I thought he was a nice fella. I had a lot of time for him.
Steve, the story about Dennis Burnett, he was called Smiler. Something he was keen about. And he also said that had England captain not been at West Ham, Dennis would have possibly remained there rather than join Millwall. How do you remember Dennis?
I remember when we were apprentices, we had again very fond memories because they were a great set of apprentices, great fellas. And we used to have, we called them the Big Six. You used to have Johnny Gilchrist, Ken Jones, Dennis Burnett, Harry Cripps, and I can't, for the love of my life, I can't remember the other two. But with Dennis, when you used to come in of a morning, you used to say to when the pros come in, morning, and Dennis used to smile at you, and he had, it was like a false smile. And I can't remember who it was, but named him Smiler, and it stuck with him. Yeah, and when someone said to him, "Hello, Smiler," he give him a bit of dirty look. You know what I mean? But
Did he used to talk much? Because when I ever saw him playing next to Kitch, I don't ever remember him saying a word. I never saw him on the pitch chatting or holding a conversation. You know, I just one of
yeah,
them things that always stood out to me with Burnett. You
yeah.
know,
I don't. When he was on the pitch, he didn't say too much, but when he did speak, it was to the point. And when he said something to you, you did it. You know, he might shout out something, come in here or do this, and you did it because he was a man of few words. But when he did say something, he was spot on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, your last season at the Den
Yeah.
was 74-5, which
Yeah,
ended up with us being relegated. It was a season when Benny left, and we ended up
Gordon
being
Jago
relegated.
came in.
Yeah. What part did you play in that season? Did you play a lot, or were you
Not
on
a
your
lot.
way out then?
I think I played 3 games and got 2 goals, or played 2 games and got 3 goals. I know it was one of that, but no matter what any of the players that were left by Benny, and we had a good side. If Benny had stayed, we wouldn't have gone down. But when Gordon Jago came, Gordon Jago was more interested in telling the players who he had at Queen's Park Rangers, and he was up for the England job. I think it was Gordon Bolland said to him one day, "We're not interested in what you did at Queen's Park Rangers. You're at Millwall now, and this is a different kettle of fish." Now, Gordon Jago was, I'm sorry if I'm going to upset somebody, for me, he was a waste of time, waste of space. And he brought in a lot of players that were not as good as what he already had. You know, if I'm speaking out of turn, I'm sorry. I've got to tell. I've got to tell you the way I see it.
Yeah.
And he just, I didn't like him. I thought he was. And if you read Rodney Marsh's book, Rodney Marsh he highlights the same thing as what I've just told you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not nice. He was a mean man, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Steve, in all your time playing for the Lions, what was your standout moment for you personally?
I think, well, obviously, signing pro, you know, but on the football side of it, I think Everton and Wolverhampton away. We got beat 1-0 in the cup away to Wolves, but we absolutely annihilated Wolves, just as much as we did Everton, but Wolves even more so. But we got caught early on by John Richards. But we played ever so well. And going back to Dennis again, Derek Dugan had a bit of a go at us in the paper before the cup game. When we came off and we got beat, I think Dennis or Dugan said to Dennis, "I got that wrong," and Dennis said, "Yeah, you didn't give us any credit, and you got away with it today." But yeah, I think signing pro and the Everton and Wolverhampton games, they were my highlights. I was a footballer. I was doing something I liked, and all the people that I was working with, all the players, I liked. So for me, I know it's an old saying and an old cliche. I lived the dream. I loved it. I really, really did love it. Local boy playing for the local team. What more could I want?
No. Talking about the apples and pears, that brought that back to me. You mentioning that?
Oh yeah, the apples and pears. Yeah, the apples and pears of Duke of Wellington, Crown and Anchor. You know, good old haunts.
Yeah, they were indeed.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming on, Steve. And it's lovely to hear you talk so fondly about the old days, 50 years ago now. But
Don't say that. I would rather say 25 years ago.
It is scary. It is scary.
Yeah.
But before we go, you mentioned QPR earlier. We've obviously got them again on Saturday over there.
You got them Saturday, yeah.
We haven't got the best of records at their place. What would you reckon? Do you reckon we're going to break the hoodoo?
I would like to think so, because we went over there one time and Rodney Marsh was there. And we give a good account of ourselves. And then we were the only team, I think the year they got promotion, we were the only team to beat them at Loftus Road. So hopefully we can repeat that one.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Well, brilliant, Steve. Love to your family. Thank you for coming on. We'll get you back on again in the near future. And take care and enjoy the...
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Good night, Steve.
letting me...
Good night, Steve.
Ta-da, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Right, guys, we'll take a break there and listen to the lovely dulcet tones of Patricia Maslin talking about iFollow.
Remember Carl Bates crashing off his chair at Carrow Road? And the commentaries that he and Max McLennan gave throughout the pandemic? Well, iFollow gives you all that and the inside track on our club, with a range of benefits including live match video streams if you live outside the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland. Live audio commentary and exclusive club content is available everywhere. Sign up today to get closer to the action. And don't forget, at least 80% of iFollow net revenue goes straight to our club. It's a great way to show your support. A basic package is free and the audio pass starts from $4.49 a month. Go to Millwall's website and select iFollow to subscribe.
I'm Gary Staff, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige and George Lampey. A great way to support our club, with the largest proportion of the revenue returning to the club, whether you listen to an audio stream or watch the game on the video. Next up, we hear from the lovely Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Thanks, Ellie. It's back to the grind of training for the Millwall Romans, as they have now a second 11, as the team has swelled with new additions from the Lions supporters and beyond. We will hear from player manager later this month. Millwall Lionesses continue their pre-season friendly ahead of their first season in the London and South East Regional Women's Football League Premier Division. On Sunday, they played Barking and shared the goals in a 6-goal thriller. Previously, Barking had defeated Ashford 7-0 as preparations continue for the Lions. It's at St Paul's, Salter Road, Rotherhithe versus Dulwich Hamlet Reserves this Sunday at 3:30, and the supporters are welcome. Jeff, you attended the match at Barking. What was your assessment?
Well, we went in front 3 times and Barking equalised 3 times, 2 of them within a minute or 2 of us scoring. But it's pre-season. A few players have moved on, and we've got a few new players as well. And we're in a higher division and in a different region. So it was just a pre-season test, and there were some good things. One of the changes is we have a new front 2, and they both scored. Ellie scored 2 and Lucy scored 1. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait for this week's game at Dulwich.
I think it's good that we're in the South East region, London and South East region, Jeff. How many divisions as such have we gone up? Or
1.
Just the one?
1, and a sideways move from Eastern region to London and South East. And it is a much stronger region, so it's going to be a big jump. It's going to be a big jump, that, and we'll wait and see what happens.
But are you saying we've only actually gone up really 1 division?
We've gone from Tier 6 to Tier 5.
Oh, right.
If we go up once more, we'll be in the National League.
So, let's move on to the first team now. After a great result at Ipswich, which included 2 goals from Benik Afobe, which should hopefully please a lot of people, because I'm glad he's got off the 2 few goals before we've started the season, and 1 from the Jed Wallace. The friendlies are now done. Now that the first game of the Championship beckons, and it's our first away trip fans to be allowed at since 6th of March 2020. Wow, that seems like a long time ago. When we defeated Nottingham Forest by 3-0. How we hope for something similar at the Kiyan Prince Foundation Stadium against QPR on Saturday. First up, let's have the view from the opposition with Henry Stato Morgan, who is talking to blogger Lukas Ross from the rgeneration.net.
Welcome to View from the Opposition for this week's opening fixture against our West London rivals QPR. This evening we're talking to Lukas Ross of the rgeneration.net web and media site. Good evening, Lukas.
Evening, how are we doing?
Not too bad. Millwall come into this fixture with 2,500 fans at their back, all looking to overturn a winless run at Loftus Road that stretches back to 1989, Millwall fans. And QPR have been busy in the transfer market this summer with club favourite Charlie Austin returning. So Lukas, QPR 7-1 for promotion at the beginning of this season. Does this reflect your opinion, or do you think the business you've done over the summer causes you to have more optimism?
Oh well, it's been a very, very positive summer with some really astute business.
Yeah.
All four of the loans that pushed us from the bottom three up to 9th place, playoff pushing. Only the two automatically promoted sides are better form than us. From New Year's Day to the end of the season, I think we've made all four of those loans who are behind that permanent, and we've made some other really, really astute signings. For example, Andre Lascelles from Ipswich, Jimmy Dunn from Burnley,
Good signing.
Sam McCallum on loan from Norwich, and among others who I can't really remember at the moment because we've made quite a lot of signings. I think 7-1 for promotion seems fair. I've seen loads of pages on Instagram predicting us top 6 and even top 2.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so who do Millwall need to be wary of on Saturday?
Charlie Austin. He doesn't really have the pace anymore, but he's just one of them players who knows where the back of the net is. I think you need to be wary of him, especially the presence that he poses in the box, especially in a QPR shirt. Let's be for real.
Indeed.
And I think another player who you have to be very careful about is Chris Willock, who he's looked so impressive. We picked him up on a genius deal, 750 grand from Benfica's bench. He could pose any team in the Championship with loads of problems, ask questions of defences, some lower mid-table defences in particular, not yours, obviously, because you have quite a solid defence. So be worried, don't get me wrong, but it's quite a strong Millwall side who we're coming up against on Saturday. And then our third player to be worried about, Lee Wallace, because yes, he's 34 years of age, but if you've seen his form since he came back into the side from beginning of February, he's been one of the best left-backs. Deservedly got a player of the month in March, got an assist in the 3-2 comeback win against Hughes in March, which I think was quite impressive. And then he goes and gets 3 consecutive assists in 3 consecutive matches. I think he kept most of the tricky players quite quiet in pre-season.
Is there anyone else, or is there anybody in the Millwall team that stands out for you, or has done in previous things that you think actually I'd be a bit wary of them? You've mentioned our defence, which is a fair point. Is there anything? What are you seeing?
I think I'm fair enough in saying Jad Wallace, because when he came to us in the 1920 season, we won 4-3 and he got 3 assists. So I think he's a bit of an assist guy, so he knows where the back of the net is in that sense. And I think he assisted both the disallowed goals you had, which is madness.
Yes, I think that was one of those balmy end-of-season games, wasn't it? It was just one of those proper ding-dong. I think everyone had just given up defending at that stage.
Pretty much, to be quite blunt with you, mate. And another player who I don't think you're ready for this, Matt Smith, because he's massive. He's 6'7", I think. And to be honest with you, I'm just really worried because if he scores on Saturday, it will be the most QPR thing in the world. We love conceding to our former players. Nahki Wells, Matt Smith, Matt Phillips, just to name a few.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. He has been scoring pre-season, Matt Smith, as well, so it wouldn't surprise me. I imagine he'll come off the bench. I don't think he's going to start, but I imagine he could be someone that might come on and grab a late goal of some kind. Moving on to that, what is your score prediction for Saturday's game?
But I think I'm going to go for Another 3-2 QPR.
Wow. Okay. So you think there are going to be goals this weekend? Yeah, that'll be very interesting. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on. All the best for the rest of the season after Saturday.
All right, cheers, mate.
Thanks, Henry. Interesting comments there. We came unstuck last time out against QPR. 2 goals to the good up, and we considered 3 to lose all the points. Unfortunately, Loftus Road, or the Kiyan Prince Stadium as is now, never been a good hunting ground for Millwall in recent times. But hopefully we can turn that round. In their friendlies against Manchester United, they won 4-2, beat Cambridge 2-1 and drew 3-3 with Leicester. They're scoring a lot of goals, but so have we. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the game at the weekend?
I agree with the QPR guy that we heard from. I think QPR are a very fair bet at 7-1. They did have a brilliant second half of the season. They have done some business in the summer, like not many clubs in the Championship have done. I think they will finish in the top 8 easily, and I think we will too. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at Queen's Park Rangers, which I think later in the season will look like a good result.
And George?
Yeah, well, I actually agree with Jeff on this occasion because I think, Austin is a really quality player, actually. And they have done business where, as we heard even earlier, that, very few Championship clubs are spending money or in any way, shape or form. So I think Rangers are going to have a good season. I'm hoping we will. I see this as a draw. You might be surprised at that. 2-2, I see this. And if we come away with a draw, I think we would have done very well.
I like to hope we were going to break our voodoo over there. So I'm going to go maybe a little bit out there, but I'm going to go 3-1 to us because I think we're going to surprise a few teams this year. I know our friend Ben Bloom's got us in the top 6 this year. So I think we're going to be there, definitely there or thereabouts this season. So
let's hope you're right, mate.
I really hope so because I'm excited this year and I just can't wait to get back down the ground. To mark our return to the 21-22 season, here's a chance to win a prize. Mademoiselle Patricia Maslin has donated a backlit glazed round disc unit with the words Millwall members above an image of a fan, a soldier, both with a head bowed and red poppies, which is on a wooden base. All you have to do is answer the following question to win the prize. In what year did Millwall wear the famous camouflage shirts against Brentford? Was it 2012, 2013, 2014 or 2015? To enter, please send your answers to studio@noonelikesUstalking.com. That's no one likes us talking, all one word, and talking is without a G. Get your answers in before our match against QPR, and the winner will be announced next Friday. Be lucky. Thank you again, Patricia. New to this section is checking out the Millwall fan predictions for our lineup at QPR on the Fan Hub app, where you can get rewarded for your commitment to our side. You can download the Fan Hub app by going to Google Play or Apple Store. First up is your prediction from friend of the show, Barry Stradlin, with his starting 11, which is Biakowski, McNamara, Cooper, Ballard, Malone, Saville, Evans, Romeo, Afobe, Smith and Wallace. Personally, I don't think he's too far off there. What do you guys reckon?
I don't think he's too far off, actually, at all, to be honest. Hutchinson isn't injured or anything, is he, at the moment?
Don't think so. That's actually a glaring miss.
So I would have Hutchinson next to Cooper, but and I don't think he will play Smith. I mean, I think maybe Mahoney, possibly. I'm not quite sure, but
yeah. So maybe Romeo out and Smith out for those two.
Yeah. But he's not far off there, I don't think.
I think Hutchinson's definitely going to play in a 3 at the back. Only one of McNamara and Romeo will play. And instead of Smith starting, Michael Kieftenbelt is a certain starter in a 5-3-2.
Ah, interesting.
That's because he's been at the Fans Forum. He thinks he knows everything. We don't.
Okay, guys. Don't forget to download the Fan Hub app and help the Lions to get to the top 10. We will take a break there before we hear from someone who likes walking around about an island. But first, let's listen to the Fantastic Fanatics.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Gary Staff, and I am back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige and George Lampey. Our second guest tonight is famed as a Millwall fan and a tour guide. He most recently took Jeff Burnige and George Lampey, amongst many others, on a journey of discovery and a bit more of the Isle of Dogs. I won't make any more comments. He is well known to us as a Black Cab Rob. Frequents the Facebook site Out of the Blue with his mate Mike George and always entertains. Welcome, Rob Woodford.
Yeah, hello, Gary. Thanks for having me on, mate.
No problem at all, Rob. No problem.
Evening, Rob. Evening.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Rob.
Great to have you back. Firstly, though, tell us briefly about the trip with George and Jeff and others around the Isle of Dogs.
Well, the tour took place back in July. Actually, it was on. It was a day after England played Denmark in the semi-final, so it was the day after the night before, so we weren't really sure if all 28 fans who had booked would turn up, or even turn up with hangovers. But you know, we had a really good turnout. 26 of us in all made it to the meeting point at West India Dock, and perhaps the England result put everyone in the group in high spirits, because if we had lost that match, I don't know who would have lifted mine. It was great to see Jeff and George, who came along to our very first Out of the Blue event, and we were privileged, to be honest. And their combined ages, let's face it, meant that we weren't short of experience or a bit of wisdom.
Can't we just cut him off?
You sound in good form, George. But going back to the tour, during the first half of the walk, everyone seemed so quiet, so polite, you know. But after we'd been to the George for a couple of half-time pints, there was certainly much more vocal interaction from everyone after that. And you know, from memory, I think from start to finish, including the lunch break, we had a quiz in the lunch break, which was fun. The whole event lasted about 4 hours, from memory. I think it was. You know, and as for the walk itself, the places we got to were all connected to Millwall Football Club's fascinating heritage. Those first 25 years of our existence on the Isle of Dogs, from 1885 to 1910. I won't give too much else away because we still want to sell a few more tickets for the next one.
George, what was the highlight of the trip for you?
I think there were several, actually. I mean, obviously, Rob and Mike did a really good job, actually. I must say that, and I'm not just saying that because he's on the other end of the line there somewhere. But I think going in the pub, and as Rob said, we went in the pub. I think we were in there a little bit longer than we should have been, and we did have a quiz, and I have to tell you that our team won, but I think that was mostly down to Jeff and had very little to do with me. I think Jeff got a question right that nobody else did, so 4 marks to Jeff. But I think some of the things that were fascinating, especially when we were on the site where the Asda is now, which was obviously one of our first homes, and the team were just doing so well, you know, for a team of that size and stature. And Rob was saying that, of course, that was our opportunity to go into the Football League, as was, and we missed it. We didn't take it. I know Rob thinks that was not a bad thing, to me, I think that was an opportunity missed, actually. But I thought the guys did a great job. It was really entertaining. There was about 30 of us, as you said. And I just thought it took you right through the island. It started where it's so modern and new, and it took you as we went further into the island, into the older parts. I thought it was a thoroughly enjoyable day, and everybody had a very nice time. And I would really recommend it to anybody who is keen on Millwall history.
That's really nice of you to say so, George. Because some highlights for me was it was nice to meet so many Lions fans, many of whom I've never met before. And also the other highlight for me is, towards the end of the tour, we had much more of a laugh, didn't we?
Yes, it did change when we came out the pub, didn't it? As you said, it was.
Yeah, and I think the dynamics in that was good from that regards, because it might be down to one or two amusing anecdotes, or the fact that the lads were getting nearer to the next pub. I don't know, but it was certainly enjoyable for me, because I spent so much time putting it together, and it came out on the day more or less exactly as I planned it. But you never remember everything. And it's afterwards you think, oh, I forgot to mention that, or forgot to mention that. So that's just one of those things. So we're fine tuning it.
Excellent, Jeff. So you know so much about Millwall history. Did you learn anything new?
Well, of course, I was there at the time when we played in the Isle of Dogs. At least some people think I was. But
you were, weren't you?
No, I honestly can tell you I wasn't. But there you are. I agree with George. I thought it was a really brilliant day. All the best, Rob, and to Mike as well, Mike, George as well. Really, really enjoyable. As to what I learned that I didn't know before, I've taken people round the Isle of Dogs before and shown them where Millwall's grounds were, but I didn't get it exactly right. I was a bit vague. I knew the addresses and what have you, but what the chaps had done was to make it much more precise. So it was great, particularly to know exactly where the ground was that was described as on land behind the Lord Nelson. I'd never actually managed to work out exactly where that ground was, because it's basically adjacent to the ground we had at Millwall Park. So that was something I didn't know before. The other thing I learned was that when the tour ended at 3:00 and I was persuaded to go in to the Lord Nelson, I learnt not to do that another time.
It's an interesting point. I know we've got the regeneration coming up. I know one of the old ground was by the old railway arches. I wonder if part of the new generation of the ground is a nod back to those days as well, which would be quite interesting.
Well, that's a nod back to what is like the Millwall Park now, which has them viaduct running all the way around it. I sort of know that personally, and that was quite a moment for me to walk in that park. I actually haven't been in there before, and I got quite a bit of history with that. And I'm very glad that they're incorporating that in the new design of the stadium when they ever get around to doing that. So
yeah.
It was fantastic trip, fantastic thing to do, and anyone that is listening, for the price, you just have to do it. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. What George said about moving from the new to the old, that was very much a thing that I felt as well. But because I've always liked going onto the island, back to before it was even developed, I've been on Millwall Park many times, and but it was nice to know roughly where the pitch, or exactly where the playing surface would have been, and where the adjacent ground was. The first ever ground that was on Tiller Road, I didn't know exactly what part of that it was. So the research that Rob and Michael had done, I really, really got a lot out of it. And everyone should do it. It's really great.
Well, thanks for that, Jeff. It's great to hear coming from you, mate. I learnt something from you. I won't reveal the whole story, but it did involve a well-stuffed envelope changing hands in a car park in the Old Kent Road in return for certain
nothing to
trophy.
do with fixing the game. You must make that clear.
Nothing to do with that at all.
And you're not allowed to repeat that on the next tour because otherwise you're
It's in your
ruining my memoirs.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I have to tell everybody that Jeff unveiled this scoop from a comfortable seated position, which was back in the day. It was in the goal mouth where we played behind the Lord Nelson pub. And the other thing I learnt on the day was it was not to try and stop and talk underneath a railway bridge, because even the Docklands Light Railway is not too light when it starts making a noise. So that's something we learned from that particular day anyway. This one is on Saturday the 8th of September, and there's no need to miss a Lions game because it's in the International. It might help people that won't be able to get there on a weekday, so we're hoping that that does give us another sellout. There's a link to the next tour on the Out of the Blue Facebook group. And also, very kindly, Nick Hart has put a plug on his Actung Millwall podcast. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for that. And I'm hoping you guys are going to put a link on the next No One Likes Us Talking future posts. And when I looked at the Eventbrite ticket agency portal earlier today, we've already sold 13 tickets. So there's still some left for those who want to make up the numbers. And Mike has put together a souvenir booklet for the next walk, which is full of images and text that relates to the tour, and that'll be given free to the people that participate in the next one.
Will you be doing T-shirts again, Rob?
Yeah, they're always going to be available, George. In fact, I think one of the quiz prizes was a T-shirt, wasn't it, last time? I don't know what you guys want. Here, George, it's good having Jeff in your team, isn't it? You get all the answers right.
Yeah. Well, he was the only one that got that particular question right, wasn't he?
Well, it was an interesting question because it was the way it was worded, Jeff, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it now. You've jogged my memory now, but I won't spoil it because you might want to use that question in the next quiz. But
thank you. Yeah,
what you haven't said, Rob, is how much does this tour cost?
It's £12.50.
Well, that's a bargain because it really was a great tour.
Brilliant.
Very well done.
Thanks, gentlemen. That's very nice of you to say so.
Thanks, Rob. Just before you go, though, we got that infamous question. How are we going to do against QPR on Saturday?
It's a tricky start, to be honest, and I think Warburton's turned around them from their previous. They're a bit of a basket case club, aren't they, recently? And then Charlie Austin is going to get 20 goals plus, isn't he? So I don't think they're going to be too far away from the top six. But having said that, I think we will have a bit of a go as well this season ourselves. It's a long season and you've got to be consistently good. But I've been impressed with the business we've done in the summer. We know how good Sav and Bennett can be. But young Ballard caught the eye in the Gillingham game. And, it'd be great to get off to a start with a clean sheet as well. So how do I see this one going? It's 1-0 to the Lions.
Very nice. I'll take that. Well, interesting to hear the tour. I'm probably going to get myself and my dad along to it as well. So thanks for letting us know and interesting stories there.
Gary, thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for having me on as ever. Thank you.
Good night, Rob.
Brilliant.
Good night, Rob.
Good night, James. Yep.
We'll take a break there and listen to Barry Stradlin, who can both sing and do a soulful "You'll Never Walk Alone" at the same time. Fantastic.
Hello, my name's Barry Stradling. I'm a Millwall fan all my entire life. I'm doing the London Memory Walk to try and raise some money for the Alzheimer's Society. I'm doing this because I've got close friends with Alzheimer's and I've got a family relation with Alzheimer's. So if you could help me out by going to justgiving.com, fundraising Barry Stradling, and try and raise as much money as possible. If you can donate some money and also share the link to people to try and get everyone involved in this to try and help people suffer from Alzheimer's.
I'm Gary Staff, and I am back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige and George Lampey. People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, or as a consequence of suffering from it. As deaths and infections continue, whilst many more remain hospitalised too, our thoughts go out to their families, friends, and those that take care of them. Additionally, please respect the requirements of transport and other locations in reducing risk of infection, and also the preference of individuals to protect themselves.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, Kelly Webster is involved, as well as Elaine Butler and Kelly Essex. They are the hub crew. What a motley crew they are, but they do great work. You can help if you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at BankUt. Now, I'll just spell that because I'm going to pronounce that wrong. It's BANKUET. Or on match days, you can make donations pre-match at the hub itself. You can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites. Good night, stay safe.
Next week, Eamon returns on Friday at 8 p.m. to host Stan, Dave and Ted, which will be a great reunion for Stan with Ted, as he missed their social distance incognito meetings in Sainsbury's car park during the lockdown. Talking of meetings, Scott Johnson, the founder of the Proper Blokes Club, has amassed an incredible following. Guys can still come along and join him to break the stigma of men's mental health with a walk and a talk. These are regular walks from HMS Belfast, the Cutty Sark, and beside the non-so-prolific safety boat at Wallington Park. Check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for further details.
Don't forget, everyone, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season. Why not share the burden between a few of you or even a couple of companies? If you can give them some added support, you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easily enough. Lastly, the Lions are still recruiting at the moment. If anyone's interested, or you know of anyone that would be, in coming down to St Paul's and Rotherhithe in Salter Road, please email recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. I will repeat that, recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com, or direct message either of their Twitter account or Instagram account, Millwall_LFC. Don't forget, our Lionesses need you. Good night.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. That's it from me. Thank Jeff and George. Until the next time, come on you Lions. Good night.
Good night.